He'll get it. And he breaks in. Washington leads for the first time today. Maryland trails for the first time this year. In under 15 and a half minutes. The nation's leading touchdown scorer on the ground adds another.
There's the hook and the lateral, and the ball game is over. The Bruins of UCLA at home win their first game of the year. They carry Jerry Neuheisel off the field.
Defensive lineman plus the tight end C. Jennings to the right side. And the redshirt freshman Kalen, direct snap. Taylor, touchdown! Virginia wins it in overtime for the second week in a row.
Fleck gets aggressive. Now let's see if the Buckeyes capitalize. Fake the reverse. Saying, load it, wide open. Tarnell Tate, 44-yard touchdown. One play, a major strike for the Buckeyes.
Back. And it's a flea flicker. Back, launches downfield. Tony's out there. He's got a touchdown, Miami. Trickery as they cash in the takeaway. 44 to the house.
Welcome back. You're listening to Victory Formation's recap of what went down in Week 6 college football. You might as well have chalked this week up to be a bye week, right? Coming off the high of Week 5. It really couldn't get better than that. You know, looking at the matchups we had this weekend, I mean, you wouldn't expect this weekend to turn out as good as it did. But this sport, week in, week out, just comes right back around, smacks us in the face, gives us another hour of stuff to talk about tonight. Or this morning, if you're listening on Monday morning. But, by the way, I hope y'all are having a great Monday morning. I know it's hard to do that, but we're going to get through it. They let us get to Friday last week, and the week before that, and the week before that. So we're going to get to Friday this week, I promise. I can promise you that. And I can't wait for this Friday, because Week 7 is almost as good as Week 5 was for matchups looking ahead. So we're going to get into Week 6. We'll get in Week 7 later on when we make it to Friday. But yeah, go to Spotify, YouTube, follow, comment, like, helps me out, helps us out. You know, gives us that little tingly feeling when we get a follower or a like here and there. And yeah, we're on Instagram, Twitter. Go check the socials out. We got a couple edits going up as the week progresses, and we try to stay up to date on like what's going down on Saturday and Friday night, but it's really hard because I really can't take my eyes off the TV because of how much is going on. So hope y'all are enjoying this season as much as I am, because I'm talking 100 miles an hour right now. I can't wait to get into this recap. So why don't we just get into it before I like spaz out and like pass out on camera right here. So breaking news, kinda, not really. 15 remaining unbeaten teams in college football. All of major college football here. We have, I want to say 10 Power 4 undefeated teams left, and a lot of those teams are going to end up facing each other. We actually have two undefeated matchups this weekend coming into Week 7. At most, we'll have 13, maybe 12 left by the end of Week 7, but we'll figure that out later. But another thing I wanted to update y'all on was this Big Ten private deal. You know, as you know, NIL's kind of taken the sport away, transformed it. Some people like it, some people don't. It's helping some teams out. I thought, honestly, it's worked out better than I thought. I thought it was going to create a much larger gap between the high tier teams and the lower tier teams, but it's actually stirring up the pot more. And I think we talked about this a couple years ago of how like all these big name players are going to end up at big schools because that's where they're going to make the most money. But it really hasn't worked out like that. You see Darian Mensah making $8 million going to Duke. Duke's a basketball school. So it kind of keeps your hopes up. You know, UNLV's had some decent players go there, make some good money. They're usually pretty good in the group of 5 teams, but I think we're headed in the right direction, or as good as it can be for this at the moment. But Big Ten, working on a private deal worth $2 billion roughly. The money is not going to the Big Ten Conference. It's going to the conference teams. So this will help the 18 teams in the Big Ten Conference. It'll be directly infused based on like a tier system. So the bigger programs, the programs that bring in the most money and make the most money and spend the most money will be receiving slightly more money from this deal. Like Ohio State and Michigan, they'll be making the most, or they'll be getting the most infused into their bank accounts, which is respectable because they're usually the two top most watched teams in the Big Ten by far. So some other things we're going to look at on this deal is so no team's going to be looking at less than a nine-figure deal. So every team, whether you're the worst in the Big Ten, and this just isn't football. This is all of the sports. So volleyball, baseball, basketball, like it's all the big ones. Not big sports, but I'm talking all the sports. I'm not just talking football. So all the schools will be getting at least $100 million, if not more, of this $2 billion, and it'll help their branding and their NIL package, and distributing it as they so wish. One thing that this might put into our heads is like, is this gonna like transform the Big Ten into its own league? No, it's not. It's not going to affect the rules. It's not going to affect the play of the sports. It's not going to affect championships. Or most importantly, it's not going to affect conference realignments, or another conference realignment, we should say. It's going to be strictly for NIL and advertisement and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting because it'll like break off the media rights of what the Big Ten is right now, and it'll transform it into its own entity. It's going to be called Big Ten Enterprises. It's not 100% certain yet. They're still working out the details, but we could be looking at anywhere from 6 to 8 years down the road for this to take place. It's not like next year thing, how like the SEC came out and said they're playing 9 games in the conference next year. It's not like that. It's not going to be something instant that's going to happen next season. It's going to be over a much longer period. It's going to try and transform the Big Ten into its own, like a bigger commercial business than it already is type thing. More of like a private thing rather than, businesses advertising on it and stuff. It's going to be its own thing. So I just wanted to update you on that. We're going to get into that more in the off season. That's actually going to be something that we're going to hit on for maybe a whole entire episode in the off season, just to kind of get us through the off season. I'm going to be trying to put out like historic moments in college football, Heisman's, past national champions, the craziest stats, craziest records that probably will never be broken, NIL deals, transfer portal, recruits. I'm going to be trying to hit on all that during the off season this year. I'm really going full force with this thing. And it's not like I'm trying to make it big. It's more of like to keep me invested fully round year because, in the past years, I've been super into it during the season, but in the off season, you kind of shy away from it and you come into week 0 or a couple weeks before week 0 and you know half the players on your favorite team, or who has the best potential, what players are going to stand out for next year. I always like knowing that, or guessing. It's kind of fun. It's just something to keep us entertained. But if y'all want to follow along, I'm going to try and hit on that in the off season. So hope y'all stay up to date with me. I'm going to try my best with that. But let's get into the actual Week 6 recap here. So we're going to hit on AP Top 10 like we always do. Not the AP Top 10, AP poll. We're going to hit on the VF Top 10, the one that matters after the AP poll. So the AP poll had a lot of mix-up. Ohio State stays at 1. Miami jumps up 1 spot, trades with Oregon. Oregon goes to 3. Now the voting, the first place voting disparity between those teams is actually the lowest we've seen in quite some time. Ohio State has 40 votes in first place. Miami has 21. Oregon has 5. So normally it's like Ohio State, this is an example, but like Ohio State would have 60, 64, and Miami would have 2 or 1. It's never been like this close of a race for the AP poll number 1. There's always like a larger gap for the first place voting. Number 4 we have Ole Miss. Number 5 Texas A&M. Number 6 Oklahoma. Number 7 Indiana. Number 8 Alabama. Number 9 Texas Tech, and to round out our top 10 Georgia. So we have 2 top 10 teams dropping out of the top 10, dropping out of the top 25, Texas and Penn State, both falling from top 10 to unranked, which is pretty crazy. I think me, Jake, and Troy talked about how like this AP poll this year is an entire new system. It's not anything like we've seen. We have teams jumping 5, 10 spots. We have teams dropping 10, 20 spots every week. And this is week 7 AP poll, and we're seeing teams drop 18 spots in a week. That never happens. I really am falling in love with this new AP poll system because this gives a chance to teams who don't normally make it in the top 25 to get a chance at that, and to actually put a rank on their name and give their team some meaning. I mean, I'm not saying that teams mean nothing if they're not in the top 25, but you don't see South Florida jumping into the top 25 after 2 ranked wins. They got to win 2 ranked wins, and they got to be undefeated for 8 weeks before they're in the top 25 usually. So I really like this new system, and I hope we keep going at it. Let's move on. So number 11, LSU. Number 12, Tennessee. Number 13, Georgia Tech. Number 14, Missouri. 14 through 19 all move up 5 spots simultaneously without rearranging. So the 14 through 19 stayed the same as they were in week 6, but they all move up together. Now 14 through 19. I think it was 19 through 24 moved to 14 through 19, which is pretty cool. I mean, none of these teams in this 14 through 19 group really proved to jump one of these other teams. It's kind of just they're all moving as a group, which I have no problem with, because if you're not beating a top 10 team, you don't deserve to jump teams that beat teams the same caliber as you, if that makes sense. If Notre Dame plays Helen Keller and Illinois plays Sisters of the Poor, and they both beat each other, and Notre Dame beats Helen Keller by 40, and Illinois beats Sisters of the Poor by 30. Notre Dame doesn't deserve to jump ahead of Illinois. You know, they both did their job. No harm, no foul. They stay right where they were. They just move up if teams drop. So 15 Michigan, 16 Notre Dame, 17 Illinois, 18 BYU, 19 Virginia, 20 Vanderbilt. They dropped 4 spots. 21 Arizona State, 22 Iowa State. They dropped 8 spots. 23 and 24. Last week they were unranked. 23 we have Memphis moving into the top 25 for the first time this year. And number 24 moving back into the top 25, we have University of South Florida. Number 25, Florida State, barely hanging on to the top 25 ranking. Cincinnati has the most votes outside of the AP poll top 25 at number 26. Texas and Penn State 27-28. Utah 29 and Nebraska 30. Pretty, honestly, AP poll cooked this week. They cooked this week. I have no problem with any of these rankings. They jumped Missouri up 5 spots. I'm fine with them being in the top 15. I said last week I didn't like them at 19. They move up 5 spots to 14. So we can settle with that. We'll agree to disagree on Missouri being in the top 15. I like them a little higher than that. Not in the top 10, but I'm not going to punish the AP poll for not putting them at 12 when they're at 14. So all in all, good AP poll this week. Probably the best we've seen so far. Now, for the one that actually matters, the Brandon VF poll, top 10. The one that actually means something. The one factual, statistical evidence behind these. It's called My Opinion. Number 1, Ohio State. Number 2, Miami. Number 3, Oregon. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we build a Walmart between 4 through 9. Texas A&M 4. Ole Miss number 5. Number 6 Texas Tech. Number 7 Oklahoma. Number 8 I have Alabama. And number 9 I have Indiana. Now think, well, Walmart times 2, and then add both their parking lots on top of that. And then you have Georgia at number 10. Because who else am I going to put there? I don't know. It's like we could go off the Victor Formation top 9 this week. Because I don't know. I'm clueless past 10. Or I'm clueless past 9. 10 through 135. You could probably rearrange them in any order. I know I just got done saying Missouri belongs at number 12 instead of 14, but 10 through 135, you could put in any order, probably, and be okay. 136, I have Texas. I think they're the worst team in Texas. I'd take North Texas on a neutral field over Texas right now, I think. Number 137, I have Penn State. This might be the worst team in America. Jim Knowles. Jim Knowles belongs in Stillwater. Me and Troy talked about this a week and a half ago. Jim Knowles came from Oklahoma State, defensive coordinator for them. Came to Ohio State as the defense coordinator and left went to Penn State. He actually belongs in that dumpster fire in Stillwater. He's like the raccoon in that situation. Fits perfectly. I mean, you give up 42 to an offensive coordinator who could barely even relay properly what plays he wanted Nico Iamaleava to run, or however you say his name. It's not a dig towards the offensive coordinator, Jerry Neuheisel, because we love him this week. We love you, Jerry. But Jim Knowles, you came and you went, buddy. Back to no man's land. Back to Stillwater, Oklahoma. What's in Oklahoma? What's in Oklahoma? Someone tell me. First up, number 14, Iowa State goes to Nippert Stadium. The Cincinnati Bearcats. Cincinnati came out on top in this one, 38-30. First AP poll top 15 win as an unranked team. Cincinnati, unranked team. It's their first AP poll top 10, top 15 win in Nippert Stadium since 2006. 19 years. 19 years since the Bearcat welcomed an AP poll top 15 team into their stadium and beat them. Cincinnati covers the 1.5. If you were a longtime fan, aka a 4-day-old fan of this show, you would have been ahead of the curve on this one. Friday morning we discussed how if Iowa State's offense would be able to keep up with Brendan Sorsby in the Cincinnati Bearcat offense. And that's exactly what happened. Cincinnati Bearcats jumped out to a commanding 31-15 lead at half. And Iowa State, Rocco Becht, marched right back in it. Kind of scared me. I thought Iowa State was going to tie this game up and go into overtime and win it. I really thought I was about to eat my words. Iowa State, Rocco Becht, quarterback for Iowa State. Excuse me. 30 of 48, 314 passing. 2 touchdowns, no picks. Added 17 rushing yards with 2 touchdowns. That's a pretty good day from him. That's one of the better days he'll have, I think. He really shined when his team needed him, but just couldn't. It was just too large of a deficit to overcome. That Cincinnati offense they're pretty good. They're pretty explosive. They got what it takes to be in the top 25, I think. Iowa State's wide receiver 1, Brent Eskildsen. I think we talked about him earlier this year. 8 receptions, 105 yards, 1 touchdown. Pretty good day from him. Now again, the University of Cincinnati's offense. Their stats. Brendan Sorsby, 13 of 25, 214, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Added 65 rushing with a rushing touchdown. Running backs in Cincinnati are excellent. Wee Walker, Wisconsin. He was previously at Wisconsin. 14 rush, 90 yards. Evan Pryor. That's RB1 and 2. It's kind of a running back by committee situation there in Cincinnati. He's an Ohio State transfer, not related to Terrell Pryor. 10 rushes, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dude was averaging 11 yards a carry. That is excellent. That's what we call excellent. Moving on. Other 12 o'clock games, we have number 22, Illinois, defeating Purdue 43-27. This game was a lot closer than the score shows. A lot closer. Illinois quarterback Luke Altmaier, another fantastic day from him. 19 of 22, 3 incompletions, 190 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. 390 passing yards, 1 passing touchdown. That's an all-time stat. That's one of the stats of all time. Illinois wide receiver Hank Beatty, 5 catches, 185 yards, 1 receiving touchdown. That's one of the stats of all time. Now, I got to give it to him. That's a good day. That's 30 yards per catch. That's pretty good. Number 20, Michigan defeats Wisconsin 24-10. Offense was like an option in this game, I think. They just we just chose to play offense when we wanted and didn't when we didn't. Michigan running back Justice Haynes, another 100-yard plus rushing yard day from this kid, adding 2 touchdowns on the ground. Another good day from him. I think he's number 4 in the nation in rushing yards right now. Probably up there with rushing touchdowns as well. Moving on, Baylor defeats Big 12 opponent Kansas State 35-34. Field goal goes in as time expires. 53-yarder from the college boy there. That's pretty good in college. Congrats to Baylor for squeaking another one out. Congrats to Sawyer Robinson for leading the nation in passing yards as Baylor's quarterback. 350 passing yards from this kid against Kansas State. First quarterback to 2,000 passing yards this season. He gaps second place now by 220 passing yards. Darian Mensah out of Duke. Both have played 6 games, so I don't want to say that, Sawyer's played more games. He of course he's going to have more. In fact, the top 4 passing leaders have played 6 games. 5th place, Jaden Mayava, USC's quarterback, is 500 yards back from Sawyer Robinson. That's not a solidified 1-game difference. So we can't say, Mayava is actually having the better season. No. Sawyer Robinson is balling this year in the air. He's the outright passing leader as of now, with the only quarterback being over 2K passing yards. Next up, 3:30 games. This is where we play the piano music. These games complete 180. I'm not sure what happened at this time or what went on. Not sure if the eclipse was out when these games were going on, but what was going on here? I couldn't even keep up. There's so much going on. Number 24, Virginia wins their 2nd straight overtime game against in-conference opponent, ACC opponents. This time, it's the Ville, 30-27 in overtime. Louisville quarterback Miller Moss, USC transfer, 34-48. 48 passes. That's a lot. 329 in the air, 2 touchdowns, and 1 pick 6. Almost the dagger. Virginia, the difference in this game, 230 yards of offense, and they win. Virginia, 230 total yards of offense, and we win the game. Louisville almost had double that. Virginia won the turnover battle 4-1. That'll do it. Moving on. Another crazy game. Washington with an all-time comeback in the 4th quarter to beat Maryland 24-20. Maryland hasn't trailed for a single second of the season, besides for these last 3 minutes in this football game. Washington was down 13 at half, 20-3 after 3 quarters. Talk about an all-time meltdown by Maryland here. All-time meltdown. They led for 57 minutes of this game by multiple scores. For probably 48 to 50 minutes of that. All-time meltdown from Malik it's not the quarterback's fault, but from Maryland. Next up, Florida ends a 3-game slide and handles Texas. This score did not show what this game was. Florida handled Texas here. Handled them. If you're a longtime fan of the show, we talked about being a longtime fan of the show, meaning 4 days. You know that we didn't understand what Vegas was telling us here, because we saw Texas favored by 6.5. We thought, whoa, what's Vegas cooking here? And we still didn't listen. we still took Texas 6.5. I thought there was no way this terrible Florida team was going to beat Texas. And I didn't. Okay. I say Texas as like they're a powerhouse. I mean, they were, but I'll reiterate, this terrible Florida team beat an okay Texas team. By now, we should know if Vegas is telling us something, we should listen. Because they're 3 for 3 on telling us something this year, and us not fully committing to that. I think we've committed to one of those three. Oh, two of those three. We committed to Indiana 6.5, hosting Illinois, and we committed to Virginia plus 6.5 against Florida State, which they beat them. Florida led all 60 minutes of this game. More rushing yards, more passing yards, 50% on third down, 7 of 14. More sacks, less penalties. Texas was rushing for 175 rushing yards per game before this one. They got 50. Like I said earlier, I'll take North Texas over Texas right now. I don't even know if Mateer needs to be back for this Red River Showdown we have coming up this weekend. The defensive line might end Arch Manning's life. Give me a countdown. 6 days. Next up. Oh, I just gagged. Penn State. Oh, Penn State. Oh my. This is just straight crap. Straight crap. How do you even fill Happy Valley? How do you get 112 people to root for Penn State, let alone 112,000, let alone millions? I think they're like top 10 in fan bases. UCLA beats the Nittany Lions, 42-37. UCLA 10 of 16 on third down. That's more than 50%. Quick maths. Nico, 166 passing yards. 166 passing yards, and you put up 42 with no defensive scores. UCLA is better off just not having a quarterback. Nico rushed for 130 yards, 3 touchdowns. All right, we might have to move on from this game before I get really mad, because I'm not even a Penn State fan, and this is probably the most embarrassing loss I've seen yet of the season, if not the last 10. Last time an 0-4 team, or worse, beat an AP poll top 10 team was in 1985, 40 years ago. Unranked UTEP beat the defending national champions, number 7 BYU, Texas El Paso. They were 1-10 that year. They lost to Kent State the week before, 51-24. And they go in and beat the defending national champions, BYU, 23-16. They wouldn't win a game the rest of the year. It kind of sounds like this UCLA team. I mean, UCLA, they lost to Northwestern last week. Not by 25, but I don't know how they didn't lose by 25. Moving on. We got to get past that one. That was... I can't spend any more time thinking or talking about that. I don't like Penn State. It's not even that I don't have a problem with Penn State. I do have a problem with Penn State. I don't like them. I don't like it. Number 16, Vanderbilt outlasts number 10, or gets outlasted by number 10, Alabama. I thought we were going into quarter number 5 here from last year, starting off. Vanderbilt jumps out to a commanding 14-7 lead going into the last minute of the half. Alabama scores a touchdown in the last minute. This Alabama team reminds me of a Alabama team in the past. I've been thinking about it for a couple weeks now. 2010 Alabama. Greg Elroy compares to our young Ty Simpson. Both can spin the pill, but can't run it. I think Greg Elroy had 60, 70 rushing yards the entire season. I think Ty Simpson has like 60 or 70 already. Regardless, can't run it. Julio Jones was on that 2010 Alabama team. Compares to our glorious king, Ryan Williams. Here's where it gets weird. Julio Jones, 322 receiving yards through 5 games. Ryan Williams, 336 receiving yards through 5 games. Both these teams had a run game that they haven't figured out their identity yet. One would say running back by committee, as Jake likes to call it. A young Trent Richardson and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram wasn't the craziest running back in college in 2010. In 2025, we have Jamarian Miller and Kevin Riley. Nothing crazy. There's just one thing missing. Oh, that's right. An early loss to an unranked team. I shouldn't say unranked team. South Carolina was ranked, but early loss to an okay team. I mean, Florida State is by no means okay. They're better than okay, but so is the South Carolina team. It wasn't expected. I'll say that. How about that? We'll go with that. Early loss to an unexpected team. They spent 1 week in the top 10 before coming back down to reality. Oh wait, that sounds like Florida State. The thing is, Alabama didn't go on to do anything else the rest of that season. Does Alabama keep this up? I don't know. I don't think so. I haven't seen enough yet. Ty Simpson looks great. Yes. I'll leave it at that. And finally, the last game on our list that we gave y'all. Number 3, Miami against Florida State. Miami takes out the state of Florida, going undefeated. 3-0 in the last 4 weeks. Beating the then number 18 USF Bulls handedly. Then Florida. Then they had a bye week. And ultimately taking down the then number 18 Florida State Seminoles. 28-22. This game wasn't close either. Then it was close. Florida State scoring 19 of their 22 points in the final quarter. Miami's quarterback Carson Beck, 20 of 27. 240 in the air, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Heisman whispers are starting, folks. The Heisman whispers. Jake was right. I'll admit it. When you're winning, it does help your Heisman campaign. When you're winning, it does help. Miami finally stops the unstoppable FSU run game, holding them to 130 rushing yards on the ground. 130 doesn't sound too bad. Doesn't sound like 50, like Texas. But considering they were averaging like 250, 130 is half of that. That's pretty good. Miami wins the turnover battle, 4-0. This was a typical better team won. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy from Miami. Kind of reminds me of Texas versus Ohio State earlier this year. Just win, just win. Just win the game. Do I think Miami gets a little too much credit for winning this game? Yeah, I do. But they do deserve to be in the top 2 or 3. Yes, absolutely. That's not a dig, but I think we're jumping the wagon on Miami being the solidified number 1 team. They're not, but I'm hearing a lot of chatter about Miami should be number 1, Miami this, Miami that, Miami should be blah blah blah. And we start talking about Ohio State. Oh, they beat Texas. Who's Texas now? They beat Washington. Washington's unranked. Blah blah blah. Now they're gonna face Penn State here in a couple weeks. Who cares? Penn State's trash. Maryland just gave up a meltdown to Washington, and you got Michigan, who's here and there. Probably lose to Michigan. That's all I hear. And then I hear from Miami, oh, we beat Florida State, we beat Florida, we beat USF. Whatever. I think they're getting too much credit right now. Do I think they're great? Yes. Do I think they're a tier 1 team? Yes. Do I think they belong in the top 3? Yes. But they're not. They're not your 2019 LSU here. This is not 2019 LSU over again. This is the highest Miami's been ranked since 2003. The only thing that'll get in this team's way, and we've said it before, is Mario Cristobal. The only thing that'll get in their way. So now that we got our 5 games that we gave y'all to watch, every single one of those was pretty good, besides for the Texas-Florida game. That was nothing to talk about, really. Nothing to think about past Saturday. Even though we're thinking about it right now and talking about it. Regardless, we'll give us 4 out of 5 were the games of the week. Ohio State rolls Minnesota at the shoe, 42-3. 42 unanswered points by the Buckeyes. Carnell Tate, great day from him. 9 catches, 180 yards, 1 touchdown. Texas A&M also rolls their SEC opponent, Mississippi State, 31-9. Texas A&M's looking pretty good right now. Mike Elko has got them boys on rails because they are not veering off the path, straight down the pipe. They're straight down. They got a decent matchup coming up in week 7. So, now that we got through the games, let's hit on the of the weeks. Victory Formations, week 6 of the week. Player of the week first, Eli Heidenreich. Navy midshipman's wide receiver, 8 catches, 243 receiving yards, 3 receiving touchdowns. What a day from this kid. 30.5 yards per reception. That's pretty good. I know, who were we talking about earlier that had that? Hank Beatty. That's who it was. 5 catches, 186 yards, 1 touchdown. But to have 3 more catches at that same yards per reception with 2 more touchdowns, that's where it's crazy. Yes, 5 for 180 is crazy, but 8 for 240 is crazy. Crazier. Notre Dame beat Air Force 34-31, I believe. Let me double check that for y'all. That was like one of the first games of the day on Saturday, because it was like right on CBS. That was like the top game. I don't know why, but hold on. One sec. No, it wasn't. They didn't. Oh, I'm on week 7. That's why I can't find anything. Jeez. Air Force Navy. Navy wins 34-31, so I was right. Okay. Like usual, you know, if you guys listen to this, you know. You didn't doubt me for a second there. Coach of the week. Our first non-head coach of the week. Victory Formation, week 6. Coach of the week is Jerry Neuheisel, UCLA's offensive coordinator. First time calling the plays. 42-37 against Jim Knowles' defense. It's a pretty good day from him. They carried him onto the field, poured Gatorade on him, got the whole 9 yards, as he should. He's our coach of the week. Good job, coach. You're America's person of the week. Like AB does his fella of the day. It's kind of like America's person of the week. You know, you can kind of see the resemblance. Moving on. Uniform of the week, Texas A&M, all black from the Aggies there. That looks pretty sweet. They look pretty sweet in all black. I like when they do the Aggies on the helmet with like the cursive. That chef's kiss, dude. It's great. Now we normally don't put all black into like uniform of the weeks, but Texas A&M looks good in all black, and there really wasn't another team. Kent State looks pretty good. They had the gold helmets with the blue lightning bolt. It just looked weird. It didn't look like the way it was stanced on the helmet didn't look right. And then you had Air Force's alternate uniforms. They always do something kind of fun and crazy, but those weren't it this year. This year. So I think that just about wraps it up. I'm going to give you all a fun fact. Did you know Penn State... I almost just puked again. Penn State, their colors before white and navy was pink and black. Penn State Nittany Lions, pink and black before they moved to white and navy. Pretty good fun fact there. And do we have any pink teams in college football? Do we have any pink teams in college football? Like pink colored teams? Hold on. Let me dive into this. Syracuse used to be pink and green. Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. Vassar College is rose and silver gray, which is a shade of pink. Not sure I've ever heard of Vassar College. I kind of want to look this up. Vassar College football. Oh, that's borderline like garnet, scarlet. That is not pink. Give me a break. Pink. No pink teams. No pink. I mean, UNLV, I think I've seen pink on there. Oregon has a little pink. They do like the October breast cancer. I'm sure we'll see pink from them soon. Maybe even this weekend when they host Indiana. That's it. No pink teams in college football. No pink teams. Interesting. Penn State, honestly, they might be more popular if they stuck with pink and black. That'd be cooler than their basic white and navy. I love tradition, but sometimes you just gotta throw in a little mix. Like, they have 2 uniforms. 2. At least being a Buckeye fan, we have tradition, but we also have the Scarlet out that we have done in years past. We've done black. We've done the Nike Pro Combat jerseys, which is either a great hit or a unbelievably wide left. And then we did the blackout. and then the classic white, and white and red's usually normal. We had gray. I think it was did we do gray last year or the year before that? I know we did gray one of the years. I remember Chris Olave being an all gray. Marvin Harrison was in all gray too, I think. Maybe one of those two was in all gray at one point. I'm actually gonna look this up. Who was in all gray? What year did they do all gray? Last year. So it wasn't Olave, it was Ibuka that I remember being in gray. That's who it was. Yeah. All right, well, we got her all done. 40 minutes. That's pretty good. 40 minutes and y'all can move on with y'all's day, unless you didn't want it to end. I'm sorry, but I'll be back Friday morning. If you really want to, if you really want to know, if you really miss me, I'll be back Friday morning for week 7, and y'all better be there because it's gonna get crazy. We have right now. Let me count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games we're debating on for Into the Trenches on Friday morning. 11 games we're debating on. So we might give y'all 6 this weekend. We're going to talk about all 11 for sure. They will be mentioned. But we got to narrow it down to 5 or 6. We can't be predicting 11 games. There's no way we can keep that up. There's no way we'd be successful. Or would we? I don't know. Regardless. Like, subscribe, comment, follow. Instagram, Twitter, social medias, Spotify, YouTube for the podcast and videos, clips, all that good stuff. Costs nothing to do so. Please go. Please tell your friends, your family, your dad, your stepson, your brother's fish, grandma's cat. I don't know. Share it all. I love you if you do. I don't if you don't. Peace out. See you Friday.